but definitely not the least, we have Jamaica, Laharian, Patricia, AC, and Tina from Team Data Actives. With the power of data, Team Data Actives delved into the critical issue of employee turnover, exploring how data analytics can identify key factors leading to attrition. By leveraging insights from data, the company can implement targeted strategies to retain their employees and foster a more stable and engaged workforce. So, Team Data Actives, take the lead.
Let's go.
Okay, we might have some technical difficulties, but how is the audience feeling? Are we learning a lot? Are we figuring things out? So, just a fun fact, no? Some of these skills that the ladies have used in their presentations or in their capstones were actually taught in class. So, like with Team Pinpoint, they used web streaming. This wasn't taught to them in the 14 weeks, but this is something that they were able to do. So, all of these teams have gone above and beyond for their capstones. And I'm actually having a very proud at the moment, even though a few of them are older than me, but it's a good feeling to see their growth. Okay, so I think everyone is ready again. Team Data Actives.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jam. Together with me on stage are Aisel, Ina, Trish, and Dian. We are your attrition detectives. So most companies, we ensure that most of our employees would come back the next day to work for us again. And so, with our project Attrition and Mass, we want to harness data to keep your best talent. So first, what is attrition? Attrition is when employees leave the company. And it's a big deal. So in this project, we focus on voluntary attrition, where employees leave the company on their own. So these employees are smart employees. And we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to Smart, our sponsor, for giving us their full support, providing us with data to make this project possible. And so, let us take a quick look at our data set that we're going to talk about later on. So, this line graph, you can see that attrition appears to be cyclical. Okay? So, during the quarter 2 of 2002, you can see that attrition rose and dipped briefly, and then again rose back during the quarter 2 of 2023. So with our data, until quarter 4 of 2023, we can assume that in the future there is an increase of attrition. So, that led us to our main question. How can we stop our employees from leaving the company? And to answer this question, we pose two analytics questions. First, what factors should we focus on to improve employee retention? And number two, how can we use these factors to develop employee retention strategies? So, we examine on the departments. And this is what we found out. So, Cybersecurity Operations Group and Information Technology are among the top mantle groups with relatively high attrition rates during 2020 to 2023. So here, you can see, highlighted in red, that the CSOG plus IT are among those teams. So these are the teams that are specifically asked by the HR that we should focus on. So tech team is our collective name for the CSOG and IT. So from now on, moving forward, the collective name for CSOG plus IT is the tech team. So information technology and cybersecurity are both important for the company because they facilitate efficient data sharing and they ensure that these sensitive data are safe. And so, according to the study, even the best places to work in IT have 24% attrition rate. And so, let me call on Ina. So, Ina, can you tell us what is really happening with smart employees?
Of course, Jam. Well, how we treated this data was we took the entire employee data set and compared it with the tech team's specific data set to see how they align with each other. What we did was we tried to focus on the employees that resigned to see what insights we could get. So let's see what we found out. First, most of those who resigned were within 20 to 30 years old. We also found that most of those that resigned were single employees. And most of those who resigned had only stayed for up to 1 to 3 years in service of the company and followed closely by 4 to 6 years tenure. What's interesting to note about this is that after 6 years, when you reach 7 and above, there's a noticeable decrease in percent of resignation. Okay, so most of those that resigned are also from Generation Y. That's my generation. They're also called millennials, and they make up the majority of the company's employee body. Looking into job level, going granular, we found out that the regular staff is the job level with the most number of resignations as well for both overall employee and the tech team. Looking at where these resignations are happening, we found that most of them happened within Makati City. Now, to the employees that have to go to these offices, we found that most of those that resigned had to commute for 30 to 120 minutes every day. However, this is also interestingly in contrast with what we found, which was the location of your office versus where you reside, where most of those that resigned either lived far or very near the office, which suggests that there's other factors than commute time that affect their resignation. Okay, so let's go over what we've learned. First, we know that they're 20 to 30 years old. We know that they're rendered 1 to 3 years of service. We know that they are single. We know that they're millennials. We know that they commute 30 to 120 minutes every day. And we know most of them are part of the regular staff. So this is what is happening. This is what of the attrition. But what about the why? Why are employees leaving? Well, by far, the top 2 reasons why the employees leave. Number 1 is career growth. Number 2, cash compensation, followed trailing behind is personal and family. Let's look at overtime. You can see that for both overall employee and tech team, from 2022 to 2023, career growth actually surpassed cash compensation for being the number 1 reason for employees to resign. This is the end. We dug a bit deeper into the demographics which we had mentioned earlier. So for the employees that had stayed 1 to 6 years for the tech team, which we are focusing on, the number 1 reason is still cash compensation, although overall it is career growth. And the same can be said for the regular staff. The number 1 reason in the tech team is still cash compensation. Very interesting trends, and they're very different from how the rest of the employees act. Okay, so there are many things that we've learned, many things to keep track of, and we're very excited to show the dashboard that we created to keep track of all these items.
Employees play a vital role in the success of our organization. Understanding their behavior, especially regarding attrition, helps us address challenges and improve retention strategies. Welcome to the Employee Attrition Dashboard. I am designed to give the HR team an overview of the company's employee attrition trends. Let me show you around. On that bar on my left, I take note of metrics like the year's attrition rate, average tenure, and average age. My charts are segmented into resigned and active employees. The line chart compares voluntary attrition or resignation from previous years. I have various charts to help you track information about the employees that are active or have resigned. Let's say you want to see the distribution of regular staff in a specific Mancom group in a specific city. First filter by job level, then by Mancom group, and then select the city. The chart automatically adjusts according to those filters. The departmental attrition dashboard is made to help the Mancom leaders track the status of their employees. Here, I track the cybersecurity and the IT groups. I track metrics such as average number of promotions, adjustments, and transfers. Check information like work arrangement, tenure, rush hour, and performance score. You can also track the reason for attrition in the map below, which shows the top reasons for resignation in the Mancom group. Beside it is a table which allows you to sort through employees by job level and reason for resignation. I am a template that can be rolled out to each department to help them track their employees' performance and resignation. By understanding our employees, we can better address their needs and create a more supportive and productive work environment.
So our dashboard and our EDA provided us a glimpse into what the data is talking about. But to really deep dive into the data, we also performed modeling. And to lead us through this, we have Trish.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Ina. And now I will present you the attrition prediction model. We use our data to make models to predict the employees' attrition. Just a quick overview of the data. We did data preparation. We cleaned the data, we input the values. We also filter the unique numbers of the employee, also up to sampling and data mapping. And after that, we did a model evaluation. We have different kind of classification algorithms that includes first is logistic regression, a good baseline model to predict employees' attrition. After that is the decision tree classifier. This model visualize the decision-making process, and the Adabus classifier and random forest classifier produces the combination of decision tree classifier. With that, to know the best model, we have our model evaluation, the accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score. With this, can you guess what is the best model in our use case?
Random forest classifier.
You guessed it right, random forest classifier. Random forest classifier is the best model for overall dataset and tech team dataset. In overall dataset, we can see that the accuracy, precision, F1 score produce 94%, and for the recall is 93%. And after that, the tech team dataset, the accuracy, precision, F1 score, and recall is 91%. And for the most exciting part of our use case, we have this is what we envision for our application and how our predictive model works. Let me present to you our early warning system.
Good day.
Early
This
warning.
presentation is what we envision for our proposed early warning system. On the left side, we could input the following features. On the top right, this is the attrition risk, which are high risk, medium risk, and low risk. And on the lower right is the predicted probability. Upon inputting the following feature, we could click the button as it will result to the predicted probability of attrition of an employee. Also, we have a prediction for employee attrition risk, particularly for the CSOC and IT. Upon inputting the following feature and clicking the button, it will result to the predicted probability of attrition. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, now to further understand our model better, we should focus on the feature importance of our model. Our target variable is attrition, and if you can see a variable that is red, it means that it increases the prediction probability of attrition, and if it is green, it decreases the prediction probability for attrition. And first, we look the similar important features for both dataset, which is the overall employee dataset and tech team dataset. As we can see, the top predictor is length of service and age. With this, it has a color green, which means it decreases the prediction probability of attrition. Basically, it means that the employees with longer service and more mature are less likely to leave the company. And for the specific course, overall important features, as we can see, it is colored red, which means it increasingly affects the prediction model. And an employee works in office space, far from the office, is a regular staff, rank and file, with 4 to 6 years of tenure, and in generation Y, means that it has a high tendency to leave in the company. And for the features that is colored green, the employees will generate part of Generation X with 10 to 15 years of tenure, it is male, and it works as store-based, means that it has low tendency of attrition. And for the 10 team important features, as we can see, the following features is that employee with unregistered university, far from the city, part of Generation Y, is a regular staff, single, and is smart tower to 22nd floor. Is more likely to leave this economy. And for the green color green, they can see that employee is based on 29th floor. Or the 23rd floors of Smart Tower 2, Ayala Avenue, Makati City, Earth and UP or Pomisac exceeded low attrition. Okay, for further recommendation and insights of our use case, let me call on Ms. Asa.
Alright, thank you so much, Butch. So now that we understand the key features driving employee attrition, so we can actually use this to our current data set. So out of the 424 active tech employees in 2023, 3.3% belongs to regular staff millennials who are single and has 1 to 3 years of tenure. So basically, this particular group, they have higher attrition rate. And by knowing about this information, so the company can make up a targeted intervention to better support these employees and make them stay in the company. So how are we going to make them stay in the company? So here are our recommendations for employer retention strategies. So for instance, for both overall and tech employees, so an employee who travels long city distance is part of Generation Y and works as a regular staff, they have higher attrition rate. So what the company can do is that they can provide flexible work arrangement. And then other than that, since this employee belongs to Generation Y, they are actually known for being innovative and creative. That's why having hackathons and innovation lab can make them more excited about their work and of course provide them opportunities to share great ideas. Next, so career growth is actually another important factor that both Generation Y and regular staff look into. That's why it is important to have clear career pathing because this will help employees to see that they have a future in the company and will keep them motivated. And lastly would be holistic compensation package. So for top global telco companies, they actually go beyond the basic benefits. So they have special programs to support, like for example, childcare and financial assistance for in case of emergencies. Next, for other features relating to increasing the attrition rate, so for overall employees, so an employee who works office-based and has a 4 to 6 years of tenure, they're more likely to leave the company. So what the company can do is that they can provide free shuttle service or free parking lot, and of course, who doesn't want free meals, right? And of course, for tech employees. So an employee specifically who is single and has 1 to 3 years of tenure, so this a value self-growth, so the company can provide scholarship programs and well-being incentives.
Change floors.
Alright, so this tab is looking at features that contribute to lower attrition rate. So these are for employees who are part of the Generation X and has a tenure of 10 to 15 years of tenure. So what the company can do is that they can give them tenure-based bonus. And of course, it is important to do benchmarking, specifically to office situation, they have lower attrition rate. Like for example, you have the Smart Tower to 29th floor and 23rd floor. So by learning about their best strategies, so we can make use of this information and apply it to office situations with high attrition rates. Alright, so now to better understand the financial impact of attrition, let us give the floor to Leanne.
Thank you, Aisel, for those recommendations. Now we head on to the return on investment analysis. So given the results that we had for our data analysis on employee attrition, we now present to you our ROI analysis. So several factors make employers' placement due to attrition quite expensive. And these costs include hiring costs, training costs, as well as time to full productivity costs. According to Forbes, the cost of employee replacement is at 33% of an employee's annual salary. But now, let's look into this. So introducing the investment requirements per employee. First, we have the hiring cost, which is based on Forbes 33% of an employee's annual salary, which stands at 156,000 pesos. Next, we have the training cost, which is based on a study by the Philippine Statistical Authority for the average cost of an employee training is standing at a value of 3,000 pesos. And lastly, the time to full productivity cost, which is based on a US study, and this is downgraded into 25% of an employee annual salary, which stands at 118,000 pesos, with an overall total expenses of around 278,000 pesos. As such, as what Isel mentioned earlier, we are trying to focus on the employee portion wherein 3.3% of these employees with high probability of attrition for 2023, we could say that the company could save at least 3.9 million pesos if we want them to stay. Indeed, in today's fast-paced world, staying connected isn't just about calls and texts. It's about living more. At Smart, we believe that our greatest connection isn't about cables nor towers. It's about the amazing people who make this all happen, our employees. And that's all for our employee attrition analytics. Again, we are attrition detectives, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, data actives. I'm from our people group, or from HR. Those are very insightful. Siguro I'll just add a layer since our panel doesn't have HR folks. I'll add my fair bias before we transition for questions. 3 points first. The data is aligned with global data, right? And we can fill this data by LinkedIn. I used to work for LinkedIn, and that goes to the top to the reasons, and we feel the same. And second point, our company, I think we're on the right track doing all those majority of the things. Example, food, free food. We recommended that our leaders always leave, they ask for food, get more back when to the Philippines. And interesting project. So we pass it on to our panel for some questions.
What floor do you work on?
Sorry? Oh! I am not part of, I move a lot of floors, but I'm not part of that 18 and 6. And second, with my profile of high attrition probability, I belong to that group. But instead of leaving, I actually just joined. So maybe this is another part of another step, right? What makes people move to PLDT and Smart, especially way back maybe from global tech companies? It's a great company. And you can see most of those things. Okay, we pass it on. That's an HR context to our tech and data analyst team. We pass it on to our panel for questions.
So
So, good job. You're the last team, so you can finally breathe. I know the anticipation will first you. So, congratulations on that. I think the team did very, very well in terms of unmasking the what, right? Understanding really who are entity and the profile of that. Basically, also zeroing in terms of which particular, even to the floor, right? To the floor level, or very level. I think my question is that what drove your recommendations? Because a lot of the data attributes that led into identifying who the potential leaders are things that are not necessarily controlled by HR. Right? I mean, we can't do anything about that. Right? And I don't see any of the data points that you analyze that led you to such recommendations, right? And the probability of success for your recommendations in order to, because at the end of the day, the problem that you want to solve is not just to unmask, right? But to stop attrition. So that's my question.
Alright, thank you po ma'am for your question. So, as for the recommendations part, most of them come from the studies that we read, and specifically asking about or telling us about the information of what companies in the telco industry or in the tech industry are doing to be able to address these concerns when it comes to employee attrition. So, actually, one of the notable information that I read from there is that they mentioned that for a company to thrive, they need to be adaptable because the company, the groups of people in the company, they are changing. And the future or the generation Y and the generation Z. That's why for a company to thrive, it's important that they will be adaptable to the needs of the people. And for the specifics, actually, we really wanted to study more about this and look into the non-monetary factors that will drive employee retention in the company. That's why if given more data, if given opportunity in the future, we would like to look into the job satisfaction factors, and then other than that, we would also like to look into the performance scores of those who left the company before, and for targeted intervention, specifically for the learning and development part, we can look into the specific competencies that these employees, or specifically for the tech team, what specific skill gaps do they want to be filled in.